So the first one is bond, and the second one is shares. So these are the two sources of long-term financing. What is financing? Financing is increasing fund of a company. Okay, how to increase the fund is through involving bond or they issue shares. So bond is a source of loan. So what is bond? Bond is a sources of loan, and shares is a sources of getting new shareholders. Okay, so when there are new shareholders, they are giving us money. If we own a company, when we invite new shares into our company, so basically we invite new shareholders into our company. So shareholders is representing the owners of the company. Okay, they represent the owners of the company. All right. So in bond, what you have to know in bond, you need to know the characteristic of bond, how to value the price of the bond. So basically the valuation of bond. And also how to calculate the YTM. So YTM is the yield to maturity. Okay, so inside the valuation of bond, so sometimes you've been given the value of the bond, but you're not been given how much is the yield of the bond. So you have to use that information to calculate the value of the bond. So it is about bond. Now let us move to the second sources of long-term financing, which is shares. So shares, there are two types of shares. Right, so the first one is preferred shares. And the second one is common shares. So the difference between the preferred shares and the common shares is preferred shares, it is the dividend is being given a priority to be paid. Compared to common shares, they are the last person who will receive the amount of the dividend. Okay. So let us look at the characteristic of both shares. So the differences between common shares and preferred shares. Yes, sister. So the first one is the ownership. Okay, the status of the ownership of the common shareholders and also the preferred shareholders. So the first one is the ownership. So in terms of the ownership, the common shareholders, they represent the owner of the company. Okay, represent owners of the company. Okay, while preferred shares, they only own the shares. They not represent the owners of the company. They only own the shares. Only own the shares. Okay, all right. Second characteristic is about the voting right. So voting right means that they have the right to make a decision over the company. All right. So for common shares, the shareholders, the holder of the common shares, they have the right to vote. To vote of what? To have a voting of the board of directors, who are the management teams. All right, so they have the voting right over the management of the company. Okay, so they have the right to vote. They are the decision maker. Okay. However, for preferred shares, because they are not represent the owner of the company, so therefore they have no right to vote. Okay, they have no right to to vote lah, to do voting. All right, and this is the second. Third characteristic is about the income, or we call it as the dividend. Dividend for preferred shares, it has been given the priority to pay. All right, so basically, before the company announce how much is their income, the preferred shares will be given the dividend. So usually, the dividend for preferred shares is fixed. So therefore, there is another one is the income for preferred shares is fixed. There is a fixed amount of dividend for preferred shares. All right. However, for common shareholders, the dividend for common shareholders will be the last resort. All right. So they are the last. The dividend distribution is based on how much is the net income. All right. The income distribution. Sorry, the distribution. The dividend based on the income distribution. So it based on the net income. Okay, it based on the net income. So because of the dividend is based on the net income, so therefore the income for common shareholders is not fixed. All right, it based on the net income. If the net income is higher, so therefore they will get more. If the net income is lower, so they will receive less. So that is the pro and cons of being a common shareholders, because their income is not fixed. Okay, not fixed. So it is variable. Okay, and the last one is the liquidation. So liquidation will happen when the company is going bankrupt. So the liquidation, the priority will be given to the preferred shareholders. In the event of bankruptcy, the payment is prioritized. However, the common shareholders, they need to bear if they will receive how much is left from the liquidation when in the event of the bankruptcy. So all the payment need to be settled down. All right. If there is any left for the company, they will receive how much is the left lah. However, if there is no amount left from the company, they will receive nothing. Or even worse, they are the person who need to pay in order to settle down all the debt due to the bankruptcy. Okay, so basically in terms of the liquidation, it depends. So basically, they are the last person who need to be responsible of the bankruptcy. All right, as for now, do you have any question? They need to be responsible of any shortage. Sorry, I put here, responsible for any shortage, or they will receive any amount left after settle all the debt, after settling all the debts. So it is the pro and cons of being a shareholders and also the preferred shareholders. So these are the characteristics of preferred shares and also the common shares. All right, as for now, do you have any question?
Madam,
Yes?
for the preferred shares, right? So basically anyone can be a preferred shareholder?
Yes, anyone can be the preferred shareholders. So it depends on the company, either they issue the preferred shares or not. Usually, company not issue the preferred shares. Usually, company issue common shares. So as you involve in trading of shares, so that trading of shares, the trading of shares is what common shares. Because once you buy the shares, you become part of the shareholders. So the dividend you receive is based on the dividend you receive is based on the net income of the company.
Oh, I see. Then what is the benefit for the company if they do preferred shareholders?
They will receive fund lah. They will receive money when they are issuing the shares. Company, when they want to increase the money of their company, basically, they will issue shares. It depends lah. It depends on the company's analysis. So they will decide either they want to issue shares, or they want to issue bond, or they just want to get the borrowing from bank. All right. So the borrowing from bank, it can be long-term borrowing. It also can be short-term borrowing. But basically, when a company want to increase fund of their company, they will do either these three things: borrow from bank, issuing a bond, or issue shares. So usually when a company want to issue shares, they will issue common shares instead of issuing preferred shares, because issuing a preferred shares, do or die, they have to pay, because the payment for preferred shareholders is fixed. All right, so it is part of the expenses of the company. Either the company making money or not making money, they have to pay dividend. So that's why it's better for the company to issue common shares, because when they issue common shares, it depends on the performance of the company. If the company making money, they can give more. If the company not able to making money, they will not pay any cent to the common shareholders.
Okay, madam, understand.
All right, so because it really depends on the net income of the company. All right. So that is the characteristic of preferred shares and also common shares.
Madam,
Alright.
nak tanya,
Yes.
shares dia ada limited amount tu tak?
Hmm, maksudnya
Maksudnya dia ada limited amount of shares company can give lah kan? Betul tak?
limited amount tu usually kalau company dekat Malaysia, usually we have to buy 100 lot. For example, if one share the price is about 25 cent, you cannot buy only one share. You have to buy 100 lot. 100 lot is the minimum. It is a common practice in Malaysia. The companies that circulated in Malaysia, which is listed in the Bursa Malaysia, usually the shares, if you want to be the shareholders of the company, the lowest amount that you have to buy is 100 lot. So basically you need to spend around berapa? 25 ringgit lah at least. 25 ringgit. Because you need to buy 100 lot. It different if you involve in company which is listed in New York Stock Exchange, for example, or London Stock Exchange. You can buy only one shares because the price is too high. And for example, Apple, how much is the price? I think it's about 25. I don't remember. It's about $25 something. So how can you buy 100 shares? So basically they allow you to buy only one lot of shares. So different placement of the shares punya ni, the rules and regulation might be different.
Ini share untuk public company betul tak?
Yes, betul. Only public listed company can issue shares. If the company is not the public listed company, they're not able to issue shares. Because if you want to issue shares, you have to go to IPO. You have to go to the initial public offering process. Then you have the shares available in the market lah.
Kalau company tu private kan, tapi dia nak macam add partner contohlah kan, dia macam mana tu?
Kalau dia private, dia nak add partner, but they are not the public listed company.
Betul.
They want to increase fund of the company.
Betul.
Okay,
jadi maksudnya dia nak bagi share, contoh satu ada dua partner ni, dia nak bagi share dekat satu lagi person untuk jadi partner ketiga lah masa saya. Dia macam mana tu?
Okay, itu kalau macam tu dia adalah partnership. They are not yet public listed. Once you are public listed means that your company is listed in bursa.
Jadi boleh trade share kan?
Baru dia boleh trading shares. If the company is not yet listed in the bursa, they are just a partnership. Whatever the names lah, either they are Sendirian Berhad or enterprise, apa lagi, ataupun corporation, for example kan. As long as they are not yet public listed, they're not able to issue shares. For example, MSU is not public listed yet. Because the owner of the MSU, he decide don't want to listed the company in the bursa. Because when you are listed in bursa, there is another type of story. Because the price of the shares, it depends on the story. They have lots of because the price of the share sometimes it sometimes it's not really relates with the business. Sometimes it's just based on the story. For example, they come out with a story. Maybe they can come up with a scandal. The apa? Kita panggil dia macam sebagai fitnah. Macam tu lah, dia macam the story behind the story. Sometimes they just create the story because they want to create demand to buy the shares. And also they can create story to create the supply, so that everybody don't want to hold the shares and everybody want to sell the shares. So when there is a lot of surplus, when there is a lot of selling of the shares, so they create supply. So when there is lots of supply, the price of the shares is going down. So the increase of the increase of the price of the shares and the decrease of the price of the shares, it depends on the, I forgot the name, speculations. We call it as a speculations. Stories are speculations. So people can create the speculations just to create the demands and also creating the supply. So you just have to remember, when there is a lot of supply, the price is going down. When there is a lot of demand, the price is going up.
Jadi basically kalau ada positif PR atau positif speculation, jadi price akan mungkin naik atas lah sebabkan demand.
Depends. It depends. Sometimes positive story also can create supplies. Sometimes negative story also can create demand.
Demand.
So it depends. It depends on the situation and how people react toward the story, towards the speculations. So that is another part of the story lah. That is another part of share trading. It is share trading, another subtopic of shares.
Satu lagi soalan untuk vote untuk share kan, dia kalau kita pegang lagi banyak share, lagi power kita dalam voting lagi kuat kan? Betul?
Yes. The more shares that you own, you have more power. For example, you own 50% of the shares. So your voice will only equivalent to 40%. So there is another 40%, 50%. So if you own,
kalau lah contoh saya hold 60%, lepas tu yang lain 40%. Jadi saya tak kira apa saya cakap, jadi
you are the majority lah.
Faham.
So you are the majority. So whatever you say, they have to follow because it more than 50%.
Walaupun 51% pun saya majority lah kira.
Yep, even though you own 51%, so the opponent is 49%, right? So you still won. You still won the votes lah, basically. You still. So that's the play and the games of being the shareholders. Sometimes the people just want to hold the shares because they want to have the power, not because they want to gain profit or whatever. They just want to gain power over the company. Okay, did you get something?
Itu saja. Terima kasih ya.
Okay, so this discussion is only about the characteristic of preferred shares and also common shares. So let us move to the next topic, which is the valuation of preferred shares. Valuation, let us go to valuation of preferred shares. How to value the preferred shares. So the short form is like this. Valuation of preferred shares. So how to value the preferred shares? It is dividend divided by the required rate of return. Okay. So I stop sharing first. All right, so let us look at this example. So find the value of the preferred shares Okay, find the value of preferred shares paying 10 ringgit dividend per share given a required rate of return of the investment is 20%. Alright, so 20% is equivalent to 0.2 lah. So dividend is 10 ringgit. Required rate of return is 0.2. So how to calculate value of the preferred shares? It is 10 divided by 0.2. So the answer is 50. So this 50 is the value of the shares. So it's equivalent to 50 ringgit. So the answer must be in the currency. So if the currency that we use is ringgit Malaysia, so the answer will be in ringgit Malaysia. Okay, so we measure the value in ringgit Malaysia. All right. So this is how you calculate the value of preferred shares. Let us look at valuation of common shares. So valuation of common shares, there are two ways of common shares. So the first one is zero growth, and the second one is the constant growth. So it's also known as Gordon model. Gordon model. Gordon growth model. It's also known as Gordon growth model. So if you can see that constant growth model, the method of calculating this type of common shares same as you calculate the value of preferred shares. Okay, a zero growth model means that every year, for example, for 5 years, year 1, year 2, year 3 until year 5, the dividend will be same. For example, if the dividend is 2 ringgit, every year will be 2 ringgit. So when there is a fix like this, but this is types of common shares, so we call this as zero growth. Means that there is no growth. That's why we call it as zero growth model. There is no growth in the dividend payment. In another word, we call it as fixed dividend. All right. The second types of common shares is constant growth. Constant growth, there is a constant growth of the dividend. For example, at year 0, the dividend is 2 ringgit. But the first year, it increased by, for example, it increased by 10%. So increase by 10% equal to 2.02. At year 2, increase by another 10%. Increase by another 10%, how much? Berapa? Another year, at year 3, there is increase another 10%. Another year, at year 4, there is increase at 10%. So this increase of percentage, the increase is same. Okay, so we call it as constant growth. Constant growth. So basically the way to calculate the value of these types of shares is different. So how to calculate it? It is like this. Dividend at year 1. So basically dividend at year 1 divide by required rate of return. K is required rate of return minus growth rate. Okay, so how to calculate dividend at year 1? Dividend at year 1 is dividend at year 0 multiply with 1 plus growth. then you will get the dividend at year 1. Okay, so how to calculate dividend at year 1 is actually to multiply with 1 plus 0.1. Then you will get how much is dividend at year 1. So let us look at this example. Takaful Malaysia estimate that the company dividend in 2014 will be 1.5 ringgit per share. So in 2014, the dividend is 1.5 ringgit. The required rate of return or the investment is 15%. So the K is 15%. The historical compound growth rate of the Takaful dividend equal to 7%. So the growth rate is 7%. Calculate the value of the common shares. So this 2040 is already this year, not last year. So we just take this 1.5 ringgit as the dividend at this year. So 1.5 divide with the answer of 0.15 minus 0.07. So 0.15 minus 0.007 equal to 0.8. So 1.5 divide 0.08. Then you will get 18.75. All right. So please try answer this question. And this question, I'll give it in WhatsApp group. We take a break about 10 minutes.